It's time for a bonus episode. Okay. Hey, Cravers. Fancy seeing you here on a Friday. I remember when I first started this show almost 5 years ago, I dropped episodes on Fridays, so this feels rather fitting. I wanted to do a bonus episode to talk about a hot topic that is always in my DMs and in my life. I have lots of friends that reach out to me. You know, those of you that are out there dating in the wild, and like I was over the last 4 years, and they say, Adrienne, you know, what do you think about this situation? Or are these mixed signals? You know, what do you think of these screenshots? And I get like all these screenshots. And I love that. And I'm here to help you and talk with you. And I always like to present the question to them where I say, do you want to feel better or do you want the truth? Okay, today is going to be nothing but the truth, but said completely out of love. All right. I want to also say that I am not an expert. I've made every mistake in the book, and I'm going to school you so you don't have to. I did a lot of research, by the way. I went through a bunch of my old DMs, things I responded to my friends. I haven't written, let me show you this if you're watching on YouTube, I haven't written this many notes in a long time. So I'm passionate about this because, and it's something that I've really learned and practiced over my time of being single. And it helped me meet Mr. Right. It got me to where I was in a place to meet him and available and ready. I wasn't wasting my time with anyone else. So let's break down the ways they're just not that into you. Okay? We're going to talk more at the end, but these are all the ways that they are just not that into you. And that's okay. They're lost, right? All right, let's get into it. They're just not that into you if dating them isn't easy. What do I mean by that? You don't have mixed signals. You aren't confused. It just feels easy. I think a lot of people, they don't take that seriously enough, right? Like everything should be complicated and, you know, we all have busy lives, but really, truly, especially in the beginning, it shouldn't be complicated. Dating them should be easy. I read a stat that said like 99% of people know if they're into someone in 1 to 2 minutes and like max 1 to 2 dates. If you are not that into them or they're not just that into you, you're going to know, right? So that's a big one. It should be easy. They're just not that into you if they're very rigid. What do I mean by that? I have a friend who, when he has his son, and they, by the way, have been dating quite a while. When he has his son, he's off limits. Now, I understand that. I do. However, years into the relationship, even months, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they're just not that into you. It just is. If they're rigid about, you know, specific things that they want or need, or they're not willing to compromise whatsoever, and this can mean so many different things, they're just not that into you. When you are really into someone and you want something with them, you're gonna you know, bend over backwards. You're gonna move mountains for this person. Okay, all right. They're just not that into you if you have inconsistent communication. I want everyone to pay really close attention to this because I would say most of the time when my friends are talking to me about dating or the DMs I get on Instagram, it's like, Adrienne, at the beginning we were always texting all the time and now it's like, you know, it's less frequent and we don't talk that much anymore. Or he's gotten really busy at work. He had a big project coming up. He's just not that into you. Especially if it was like hot and heavy in the beginning and a ton of communication and then all of a sudden it's less frequent. Now, listen, if you're going on a business trip or like I'll text Mr. Right and say, hey, really busy day today, full of meetings. I can't wait to see you later or talk to you later. I'm about to go into a 4-hour meeting. Be back later. You know what I mean? You're not letting your partner feel anxious about that. Particularly, I have so many friends who have anxious attachment. I kind of have anxious attachment. And I've been very verbal, you know, with my partners. And my friends have too. And then yet the pattern and the behavior doesn't change. They're just not that into you. Okay? So just remember that, please. Like, men and women are not going to send mixed signals. This goes for both. If they're into you, they're going to be texting you, right? Another big one is that, you know, if their actions don't align with their words. People can talk the talk all day long. Are they walking the walk? You know, I was thinking about this one guy that I met, right? I think we went on 2 dates, and he was like, hey, this weekend's supposed to be really beautiful. We should drive to the beach for the day. And I was like, you know what? That sounds really fun. All week, he had been like, you know, we're going to bring this. He like sent me a picture of like his beach chairs and the cooler and was like, can't wait for this weekend. I was like, yeah, like having fun. And it was like, we had like 2 really good dates. And the Friday before, he was like, hey, or the Thursday before, he was like, hey, I'm really not feeling well. And I was like, okay. And then he didn't talk to me like the rest of the day. And I was like, this is weird. And then like later that night at like 7:30, he was like, hey, I was at urgent care and I have strep throat, so this weekend's not going to work. And I just responded and said, okay. I didn't hear from him again until Sunday. And he was like, you know, hey, you know, 4th of July's coming up. We should hang. I was like, you know what? I had a lot of fun on these 2 dates with you, but I'm looking for something more. I'm looking for someone that, you know, would give me a little bit more consideration, and not to be like a bitch about it, but I just got the vibe, right? Like, how do you feel? Your intuition and your instinct is going to let you know. And I knew. And so I cut that off. I'm not going to waste my time, right? I think he was a little stunned too. He was like, okay. You know, if your actions aren't aligning with your words, that's a massive red flag. Like, you don't want to spend a long amount of time with this person. No, thank you. Okay. Another thing, that if they're not that into you, they will not suggest that you guys hang out with their friends, right? So if, you know, it's always you guys on solo dates and they're like, oh, I'm going out with my friends tonight, or, you know, football Sunday with my friends. If they're not inviting you to those things, especially after a considerable amount of time, like 2 months in, 3 months in, like you should know, like especially 3 months. I feel like that's a real big sweet spot where you start to have the exclusivity talk. Speaking of talking, I can't fucking talk today. What the hell? But even, you know, at that point when you're having exclusive talks and stuff like that, you should start to be getting to know his friends and eventually his family. You know what I mean? I remember when I first met Mr. Right, I couldn't wait for Katina to meet him. Not only for her to give me the approval, but like I wanted him to know all my people, and he did the same, which, you know, green flags. Okay. I keep wanting to say they're just not that into you if the sex never leads to deeper intimacy. Now, I've had phenomenal sex with partners that I didn't have intimacy with. That's a real thing. So think of, you know, after sex, are you guys having physical connection still and physical touch? Are you cuddling? Are you having that, you know, pillow talk? Are you feeling really close and connected with them afterward? Or is it, hey, high five, see you later? You know what I mean? Like, you want to be having that intimacy along with sex. That's huge. I remember the second time that Mr. Right and I had sex. We laid in bed for, I think, 4 or 5 hours after and just talked. That's intimate. Those are details that you guys share. You know, that pillow talk is really important. I'm a huge fan of that. Okay. They're just not that into you if they flake on plans. Remember the guy who told me about the beach weekend and was hyping it up and then was like, oh, yeah, I got strep, whatever. If they're flaky, it's a no. They're just not that into you. You have to, when they're flaky, you have to just accept that and move on. Do not waste your time. Another thing, and I see so many of my girlfriends doing this. My girlfriends do it especially. I feel like because women, we want to be caretakers. Like, that's our love language, a lot of us. And, you know, you want to put the effort in. But if you are always putting the effort in, right? If you're waiting on them or revolving your schedule around them and being so convenient. I have a girlfriend who she'll be like, well, so-and-so might call me, so I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. What do you mean he might call you? And vice versa, right? Like, oh, well, she said she was going to be out later, but I'm not really sure. No. You need to live your life. There's like that Taylor Swift song where she's like, cancel my plans just in case you called. We're not doing that. We're actually never going to be doing that. So go live your life. Be the fabulous, fun person that you are. If they're not attracted to that, they're lost. Okay? All right. This is a big one. They're just not that into you if they're married. Ask me how I learned that one. I want to refer to you to another bonus episode back around episode 36, and it's called Remember Who the Fuck You Are. If you're dabbling in the world of someone that's married, if they're not divorced, I don't care how many different scenarios or situations you've heard, because I heard them all from Mr. July, okay? We're going to get a divorce. I moved out. I'm living in the basement. She knows. Do not. They're just not that into you, okay? And you should not be into them. You are absolutely going to waste your time. Go listen to that episode where I had to learn the hard way on that and wasted, time and effort and energy and really regret it. So they're just not that into you if they are married. All right. Another thing that I hear so many people say to me, and this is hard, they're just not that into you if they're telling you to see other people, right? I think you should see someone that wants to have sex as much as you do. I think you need to see someone who will give you the emotional connection that you're craving right now. These are real things that people have said to some of my friends. And I'm like, he's telling you to go see someone else. She's suggesting you go fuck someone else. Say, you know what? You're right. Get up and walk out. Like, imagine this. Would you ever tell someone that you were really into that you want them to go seek someone else? To go fuck someone else? No. Remember that. Okay. I kind of get pissed because I'm like, these fuckers get away with this. Like the assholes of the world, they get away with this. And let's stop that. Another way that they're just not that into you is if they're emotionally unavailable. That's very easy to see, right? If they say things like, I'm not looking for something serious. They don't make future plans with you. They talk about how important their freedom is or how much they like to have their strict schedule or this is my time, me time. They're just not that into you. And another thing, if they're not looking for something serious, they're really meaning, I'm not looking for something serious with you. I know it's hard to hear that, but guys, it's so true. Like, when have you ever heard of someone being like, I really changed them. I really turned her around. Never. Okay. Another time that you will know that someone is not that into you is if you can't be yourself. All right. Or someone will say to you, you're too much. You're intimidating. I got that all the time from men. Like, you're really intimidating, Adrienne. You don't understand. And I used to hide my needs, wants, and desires in relationships. I wouldn't have firm boundaries because I was afraid of losing the person. And I was like, there was a time in my life where I didn't want to be alone and I was like scared of that. And none of that worked out well. And being me is really the only way to be. I remember being on a date with this guy one time. It was the first and only date. And he was so handsome and so nice and so kind. And I was telling him, because he was like, what have you been doing the last couple, I was like, I've been single for at that point, I think it was 2 years. And he's like, well, you need some dating. And I was like, I'm a unicorn in the lifestyle. I was like, that's what I've found the lifestyle and I love it and I enjoy it very much. And I remember he was like, I was like about to call him Patrick Swayze Ghost because he was about to fall over at the stuff I was saying. And I was thinking, I could never be me with you. And so I didn't have a second date, of course. And he messaged me, but I was like, oh my God, no. I need to be me. One of the reasons why I fell in love with Mr. Right so quickly is I can be me, all of me at any time. What I love that my friends and family said about him is everyone mentioned, Adrienne, you're yourself when you're with him. And I love that. So you won't have to ever, I'm just going to remind you, you won't have to ever shrink yourself for the right person. Okay? No one should be dulling your sparkle. All right. They're just not that into you if they avoid conflict, right? We're all going to have it. Even in the beginning of a relationship. Like Mr. Right and I told you guys a story a couple episodes back about how I was like, hey, I don't feel like you're emotionally available enough for me. I want something real. I want something long term. I remember telling him I'm here and you're here. And I think we need to take some time apart to think about where we want to be. And I remember he was like, Adrienne, I'll meet you. He was like, I'll meet you wherever you want. But I had to have that because I was like, I know what I wanted. I know what I needed. And he stepped up to the occasion, right? But, and we've had some other conflicts for sure. Everybody does. And it's not about the conflict. It's about, if they avoid it. And then also it's how you come back together after. Anything Mr. Right and I have gone through, we have always resolved very quickly. And I have a rule. I always tell him this. I say, I'm not going to bring this up again. Once we close that situation, there's no bringing it back up. There's no well, remember, and that's something I really stay true to. And he does as well. We talk it out. And I mean, really talk it out and then move forward. And that's the thing. How can you come together? How can you move forward together after some conflict? And if they're avoiding it, they're just not that into you. They're also not that into you if they seem forgetful about you, right? If they don't ask a lot about you, if they don't get to know your favorite things and what you love, what you're into, if you're just having small talk all the time, or if all you're doing is going out and drinking and partying, that's really not gonna build that foundation of a real relationship. It's more of like a situationship, if you will, or a friends with benefits, or you know what I mean? So if they're not remembering little things about you here and there, like that's really huge. And then also, if they don't ask a lot about you, they're just not that into you. Someone who is wants to know every little detail and every little thing, and they're going to remember it. Okay. Blew through that. I want to talk about, and I know earlier I was saying he or she specifically, but those were all they. I have 3 things specific for men, and I have 3 things specific for women that they are true signs they're just not that into you. Let's start with the gals. Okay. She's not that into you if she doesn't flirt with you. I cannot tell you, do not underestimate the power of like the physical touch flirt, right? It lets you know we feel safe with you. Like you can put your hand on our knee. The touching and flirting is a big thing. Touching on the shoulder, rubbing their back, fixing their hair. Like you're looking for reasons to touch them. So if she's not flirting with you and giving you that touch, she's just not that into you. Another thing that goes like hand in hand with that is if she's giving a lot of eye contact. I feel like women are just known for that. We can speak with our eyes. And I want to talk about like the green light and red light, the off and on. You can enter a room and know if a woman is on or if she's off. Like it's very clear, very apparent. She's giving direct eye contact, blinking her eyes, looking you up and down. Like there's a lot of eye contact going on, and she's open. It's funny because when I go out with one of my girlfriends, she's a very open girl, looking to meet people. She's looking around the bar and scoping, and I'm over here like, this beer is good. I am so off. Like my light is not on for anyone. I'm not trying to attract any attention. And it's very clear. Meanwhile, she's met eyes with every guy that she thinks is hot in there, right? So the eye contact is huge. And also, if she is into you, okay, her availability and her bedroom are going to be very open for you. Like I can't, it's not going to be a struggle. All right. Let's talk about 3 things. That was 3 things that she would do. For men, I have 3 things that will let you know that he's not into you, specifically for men. Okay, he's not that into you if he doesn't take initiative to make plans. Men, especially in the beginning, should be making the plans. It just is, okay? Like, as a woman, you could be like, hey, what do you think about this Friday at this concert, whatever, that's fine, but he should be making majority of the plans and initiating the most in the beginning. Another thing that they'll do if I really fucked this up because this is something he will do if he's into you. He will try to help you out. Men love solving problems. They really do. I swear to God, like Mr. Right, I can see him get excited about things he can help me with and things he can do. Men love that. Another thing a man will do if he is into you, I'm sorry, this is confusing, is he'll try to impress you, right? Like he'll clean up his place or put on cologne or wear something new, do his hair differently, you know what I mean? Like they'll put in effort to impress you. Like if you said, I really like when guys wear Peter Millar golf gear. Like to me, that's really sexy. I would say that. And then the next date, he's wearing like a Peter Millar shirt. He's listening, he's tracking, he's trying to impress you. Okay. My last page of notes. I'm not used to having this many notes. I want to wrap things up by saying there are exceptions to every rule. I know that. There really are. But if these signs are speaking to you, right? Like if you're feeling like, ugh, that does happen to me, or I am ignoring that, I want you to do yourself a favor and stop wasting your time. Like, for real. You don't have to cut them off today and call them and say, I listened to this podcast and Adrian told me to dump you. I am a big fan of that. But however, we're not gonna be, irrational here. We're not gonna be reactive. We're gonna respond accordingly. So start paying attention and start, just do you. Stop wasting your time. And if you're doing this to someone else, please stop. Let's cut the game out, right? I want to tell you how when I was single and I finally adapted myself to seeing the red flags. Like men would give me a bouquet of red flags and I would say, thank you. And then not anymore, right? When you stop dealing with the bullshit and you allow yourself the time and the space to focus on you and to get out there and try something new, you open up the doors and windows to someone who is really going to come into your life and you're going to fall in love with. If you're wasting time with this guy because you have this picture and vision of what you guys could be, sadly, you're just wasting the time that you have right now to meet someone that is your could be. You know what I mean? Like is your forever. I hope that's making sense. But I really, like that guy who canceled me on the beach trip, or one guy who said, let's go out Friday night and then text me Tuesday. I was like, sorry, got busy. I didn't entertain any of that. It's just a waste of time. Okay. And another thing I want to say too is that, how do you feel when you're with this person that you're dating or you're in a relationship with? Like, how do you really feel? And I love Leo Skeppy over on TikTok. He cracks me up. He's the best. But he said, when people message him and they're like, what should I do? I texted him 30 times and he hasn't texted me back. Should I text him again? And he's like, no. And he goes, you know what? What would you tell me to do? Think of what you would say to me if I asked you that question and then follow in line with that, right? Like really, oh my gosh, Craver, it's crazy. Like, he was talking to me so much and like, I haven't heard from him. We're supposed to go out tomorrow night. And like, I'm hoping that he texts me. You would say, make other plans, right? So try to remember that. Like, it's really, really true. I also want to say, love isn't meant to feel like chaos. It should feel safe and steady and warm. Hold out for the love that is that. It's worth it and you deserve it. Okay, I really wanted to say that. What can you do, right? So you dump the guy, or you're thinking of dumping the guy or the girl, and you're like, Adrienne, well, now I'm going to be single. What am I going to do with my life? Focus on yourself. You can't go wrong. Challenge yourself, right? Like, love yourself. The most important relationship you're going to have with anybody is you, always and forever. Challenge yourself to do something new. Pick up a new sport, try a new hobby, join a local club. I don't know, but whatever it is, just do it for you. Also, if you haven't healed, and this is a big one, if you're seeking attention or validation from the opposite sex or your partner, that's a really tough thing. So try to heal yourself and really be able to move forward with that and fix, the inner you. I read this thing one time that talked about like baggage and how like if you don't, heal yourself, you're just going to carry the same baggage over to the next relationship. So that's really important too. And then just remember too that like no deal is worth losing your self-respect. And speaking of worth, like, knowing your worth is everything. It just is. So don't let these things and these games get you. If all else fails and you're like, Adrienne, what do I do with my life now? We are going to get ourselves a Wanda or my favorite, Coco from tracysdog.com. And you're going to use code CRAVERS20 to get 20% off your entire order. That is CRAVERS20. And yes, Wanda, she has 3 attachments that are absolutely insane. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm showing you them now. And then Coco is just one of my favorite bullet vibrators ever. I feel like everyone should have one of hers in their collection, their toy box. Fun episode. Listen, if you are going through this, or if one of your friends, send them this episode. Let's all find our real love out there. It's waiting for you. All right. I'll see you guys next Tuesday. I love saying that. All right. Heard a lot of ruckus upstairs. I think Mr. Wright's home.